Keep it in the family. If we wake up this morning and don't have no tea, if we wake up this morning. Hello, sir. All right. Listen, we're back now. We're still in this Yeshua in India, and I'm getting ready to read another chapter from the Holy Megillah, and it's about when Yeshua arrived in India, and he was to give the letter to the overseer uh, of the Nasarean encampment that was in India. He's going to explain who that overseer was. Her name was Beten-Jahlah, and the Holy Megillah has this huge footnote that states that she, the Beten-Jahlah, her name, how to pronounce it, says here is Beh-ten, is a female noun in the Hebrew that can mean any of the following: womb or innermost part, or deep within. In this case, it means deep within. The word Jahlah is, of course, the name of the Nasarean Goddess, the mother Jahlah. Thus, the name of the overseeing priestess of the Nasarean encampment in India, Beten-Jahlah, means deep within Jahlah. Phonetically, the name Beten-Jahlah is similar to Patan Jali. Patan Jali, Beten-Jahlah, stayed really close, right? And a yogic text written by Beten-Jahlah appears to be the likely origin of the Indian text called the Yoga Sutras of PatanJali. All right, so I already made a video showing that, showing you guys what it looks like. The one that I was told to get when I took my yoga teacher training course. It's this version by this guy here, Sir Swami Satchidananda. So the commentary is by this guy, right? So they have a lot of different versions with commentary by different teachers. So what I was showing you guys when we first came on the video was just the sutra itself, not with the commentary. So this one is the one we're going to talk about today. Once I get done reading in the Holy Megillah, I want to show you some stuff about it. Cravings result from a devoted attachment to happiness, and how some of these sutras are what they are in that book. So they have the Sanskrit, and then they have the English translation and pronunciation, and then a little transliteration, I guess, of what it means. Impulsive emotional disaffection results from a devoted attachment to distress. That sounds like drama people, drama queens, drama kings, right? But I wanted to show you guys these sutras because it's called sutras, right? But doesn't it sound like where it came, we got our English word suture? A suture? The R and the E is changed around or something for us for the sutras. Let's see. A sutra, right? That's the same. That's why these languages, they match, because our language was just taken, English was taken from a whole bunch of languages, so we could never figure shit out. But it's coming around that time now. So it tells you what a sutra is in the yoga. I'm going to show you all that, and I'm also going to show you how what's similar, that it's in the medical terminology, it's a thread, it's to stitch, a wound closed. So that's what the Yoga Sutras mean. Union, stitches, to put us back connected to source. You get it now? And so now, knowing that the Holy Megillah told us that these sutras were written by a Nasarean priestess, who Beten-Jahlah, and that this is what I'm about to read to y'all now, because Christ, so Yeshua was sent there to go give her this letter, and then watch what it says. All right, so he arrives in India. I'm going to go through fast. Y'all might can pause it and read all the little details because they do matter. And I don't mean to rush through the video, but I want to show you guys a lot of things. So you could pause it and read that. So this is after the last video. David was killed, and David's wife ends up ascending into the office of Yair, for she was the highest ranking of any priest or priestess of the mystery schools. She did not alter the last assignment that David had given unto Yeshua. So David had written a letter of introduction on behalf of Yeshua to be read by the overseer of the Nasarean encampment in India. David had instructed Yeshua to deliver that letter to the overseer upon his arrival. That encampment was in the wilderness outside of Benares, and the overseeing teacher of the encampment was a priestess called Beten-Jahlah. The meaning of her name means being deep within Jahlah. Her name had been given to her by David, the Yair, the year before she went to India. So this Nasarean priestess was a Nasarean taught by David, sent on a mission to India already. And this is who Yeshua was sent over there to do this last assignment by David. So this is what he's doing in India. Listen at this. First, because she herself, this is why her name was given to her by David, Beten-Jahlah. Herself lived deeply within Jahlah, yea, for she was a powerful embodiment of the divine feminine. Second, because she taught that deep within both the divine feminine and the divine masculine is Yah, the deepest union and original source. And Yeshua fulfilled the instructions of David, handing the letter to Beten-Jahlah. And she read the letter and was in awe of the words that David wrote about Yeshua. The letter informed Beten-Jahlah of David's belief that Yeshua was the long-awaited incarnation of the Lord Christ as a son of mankind. For the Holy Megillah declared that the Lord would come and that the Lady Christ would also come, and that both would be rejected by most of Yisrael, she more so than he, but not without the planting of seeds for the later harvest. The letter of David also revealed unto Beten-Jahlah the mission of Yeshua in India, and that the time of his mission unto Yisrael was not yet. Likewise, his ministry unto Yisrael. So it wasn't time for him to do this yet. For behold, the mission of Yeshua unto India would be of 7 years, according for the assignment of David the Yair. And Beten-Jahlah understood these things and said to Yeshua, you may use our encampment as the home base for your ministry unto India. Also, we have other small encampments in India and safe houses that will aid you. Now, this is what I'm going to put in the footnotes because it's the breakdown I was reading, right? I'll just read this last part so you know that they are saying, yes, this is her. It says, our belief is that the original author was the Nasarean priestess, Beten-Jahlah. She wrote the text as a bridge between Nasarean yoga and Indian yoga during the lifetime of Christ, while she served as overseer of the Nasarean encampment in India. The original was called Sutras of Union of Beh-ten, was the original prototype of what became the Yoga Sutras of PatanJali. So that's why I said, and I read some of them for my class and everything way before I even found this Holy Megillah. So you guys can just imagine how exciting this is for me, because this is that validity, that those things that it was teaching in there, and I already knew they were good, but what it's telling us how to do is how to control our senses, how to get union back to source. And I practice it, and then bam, this falls in my lap to validate all of the things that I was being told to do and that I did, that was on the path to this revelation, because this is a lot of information. I don't know the difference between PatanJali is in India. They say they don't know when this guy lived, and he's a guy. And in this Holy Megillah, it's saying it was a woman and she was living during the time of Christ. So that's controversial to even what they believe about these sutras in India. And the original name was Sutras of Union, which would help us to understand a little bit better that These are the stitches of the union that we need to put ourselves back in right relationship with divine, which is within ourselves. So it's alignment. It has to do with the fall and what we need to do to be healed. Because I showed you, it's in the medical terminology. A suture is to heal a wound. So this is really going to blow your mind. What's next? That's why I wanted to read to you what they believe. The translators of the Bible of this Holy Megillah, they do believe that the Yoga Sutras of PatanJali were originally written by the Nasarean Priestess Beten-Jahlah. Okay. And this is why they believe it. Okay, so she's telling Yeshua, we have other small encampments in India and safe houses that will aid you. For behold, after the fall of old Eden, the Nasareans atop the mountain of peace, who never fell. We got to do a whole nother video on that so we can get our minds around that. But they never fell after the fall. And if you understand what the fall was, the killing of animals and eating them, according to the Nasarean Bible, that's what the fall was. There were some who never fell. And that's not that hard to understand. But this is what Beten-Jahlah is telling Yeshua. So then I'm going to stop talking because this is getting long. For behold, after the fall of Eden, the Nasareans atop the mountain of peace, who never fell, but stayed in this world as helpers of the Lord and Lady, dispersed into small groups and sent missionaries into many nations, even unto India. Yea, Nasarean teachers came to this land, when then had no name, and few inhabitants. Behold, these Nasareans were the first to build ashrams in the Himalayan mountains, calling the first settlements New Eden, and calling the mountain range New Mounts of Peace. Then other refugees from wars in other lands came to this region and settled, bringing their religions with them. And the Nasareans were taught many of these, listen, so they came bringing their own religions, and the Nasareans that were already there in those mountains taught many of these newcomers to abstain from the eating of animal flesh. Yea, and taught them many spiritual truths. Okay, and those people mixed the Nasarean teachings with their own religions, and the result was the many scriptures of India and the various names of deity and the conflicting cosmologies. Yeah, many of the scriptures of India have been influenced by the Nasarean teachings. Even so, some wrong things and that were present in the earlier forms of these religions are still present in their current scriptures and traditions. So wherefore, according to the letter from David the Yair and the notation to that letter by Rose, his successor, your first 3 years in India will be spent studying the scriptures of India under my jurisdiction. For we have made translations, and I will teach you to read and speak the language of several of the peoples of India, at least as much as is possible in 3 years. This will be enough to enable you to converse with the people in their own tongue, which you will do for the rest of the 4 years of your time in India. So Yeshua thanked Beten-Jahlah for her hospitality. Then he was taken to his hut, right? But did you just see what she said? So she broke all that down to let her know that they've already did the translations of the scriptures in India, because by this time, this was probably like, I don't know how many thousands of years of time she just talked about. But the teachings from those first Nasareans that built those ashrams, that started to teach all the new refugees, they mix those teachings with their religions. So then bam, around this time when Christ was alive, this woman, this high priestess Beten-Jahlah, got sent to India to go over there and read all those texts and do the translations, so that they could get the teachings that were Nasarean and get them all out from in between all of those different religions that had formed over time. So these Yoga Sutras of PatanJali are ancient, because that's what we just got explained to us, that they were revised around the time of Christ's time, and that's what he went over there to learn. So now we know. Okay, So his first 3 years in India was going to be studying the scriptures of India under her jurisdiction. And she'll teach him to read and speak the languages. All right. So that's why I'm saying that this Yoga Sutras of PatanJali are important to us now. Okay. And this video is getting long, but I know it's good. I wanted to show you a couple more things. So what it's trying to tell us in these sutras, if you get a chance, make sure you find this version, the one, because I'm not speaking on any other translation, because it has his commentary, this guy, and I've read some of them. So what I'm going to talk about is coming from this guy's perspective of what these sutras say. And there's many perspectives. So you may even have a different perspective of it once you read it for yourself. That's why I just showed you the actual sutra with nobody's perspective, not even mine. But this verse 7 is one of the limbs of yoga, which is so important about it's this one, control of the senses. It explains that this paratahara limb, it's one of the most important yet forgotten limbs of yoga. And we should look into this one, because this is what we call the asana, which is a pose, which is something that they do on the physical with their body in the physical, sitting in these positions, raising your hands to your eyes. Those are all the windows to the soul. You see what they're doing, and they're doing a meditation that is symbolic of I'm shutting off my senses to the world and I'm going within. And you go deep within when you practice some of these practices. And they'll have a lot of commentary on what it means. Let me read one to you. Oh, well, not one, but this one. Let me see. So, control of the senses. And this is just one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Let me see. I only was able to find a little extract from this book that I was showing you. They don't have the whole thing online. Well, I just haven't found it, but this is the one I'm speaking out of, this Sutra of PatanJali. So this book 1, portion on contemplation. This is about meditation, and I'm just moving us right along to this second part. It's about practice and what the yoga practice is. Okay, so in the Samadhi Pada PatanJali, which we know now is beh-ten, deep within Jahlah, deep within the divine feminine, the mother, gives us the aim of union with yoga, but it's union. Let me make sure this is big enough for y'all to see. In a theoretical way, explaining it as the control of the chitta vritis, or thought forms. Then the rest of the sutras in book 1 could be classified in several groups: the different kinds of thought forms, the practices to control them, and the different kinds of superconscious experience, culminating in the highest experience of nirbija samadhi. I'm probably not pronouncing this stuff right, but the seedless contemplation. But it is not that easy to get into samadhi. So in this chapter, he tells the student, and we know it's a she, tells the student not to get frightened, but to prepare himself or herself by laying the proper foundation, then gradually building until that level is reached. For this, Beten-Jahlah gives a number of simple directions. All right, so these are so good. I hope you guys pause the video and read them all. But I think I'm going to keep going. But I was looking for the limbs. Yeah, the 8 limbs of yoga. Yama, abstinence; niyama, observance; asana, postures; pranayama, breath control; paratahara, this is the one I was reading about. I'm going to read a little more about it. Sense withdrawal. when you cover up all of those doorways to this material realm, to this physical world, and you practice that. Okay, and then here's another limb, Dharanana, concentration, Dhyana, meditation, Samadhi, contemplation, absorption, and superconscious state. All right, so those are the 8 limbs. So this one, it said, it is the most important yet forgotten, and that is control of the senses, right? That's where the old saying, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak, applies to those of us who have not yet learned how to properly control our senses. And so that's what that whole thing was talking about. That I showed you, the sutra. Cravings, how they result from a devoted attachment to happiness. So you got to realize that what happiness is, it's a physical thing in this body and this realm. And like, once you start eating that chocolate cake and the way it makes you feel and taste and smell, it's like that's what a craving is. And we got to learn how to like reverse that. And that's what yoga teaches you how to do. That's what this whole Yoga Sutras of PatanJali is talking about. I was going to show you guys one more thing, and then I'm going to end this. So this is cool. You could practice this. And look it up. Hara Thahara. I ain't saying it right. I am. See, the word pray is almost in there. Yeah, because what I'm seeing from the Sanskrit, you just pronounce the vowels, you pronounce the words a little different, but they're really close, just like I showed you with the sutra, okay, and the sutras. And another thing, the sutra is a concise verse or scripture within Hinduism and Buddhism. In Sanskrit, sutra means a note, sacred thread, or code. All right, so the Union Sutras of Beten-Jahlah is what we were just told in this Holy Megillah, is that Yeshua went over to India to study, and then he had 4 more years after studying that to go and minister to all the people in India, and that's what he did. This is nice. You might want to pause it. This is when Yeshua actually ran into Miriam. She was leaving India, but she had just spent 7 years there. And she was leaving when he was coming. So they met up and they gave each other props. She was like, my eternal husband. She sang him this song. And then he kissed her on the cheek. And he said, my eternal wife. Yeah. And she said, my eternal husband. Y'all want to pause that and read that, but that's good. And coming up next is, and then I already did a whole lot of these on the videos prior to this one. But that's something else, right? That could give us some tools right there if we wanted to know what out of India should we be looking into. That the Holy Megillah told us that we should be looking into this, the Yoga Sutras of PatanJali, because it was Beten-Jahlah, Deep Within Jahlah, who composed these for us. And even for Christ, for his ministry, because you'll be surprised what keeps coming in this Holy Megillah. Y'all will be, if you aren't already shocked and surprised, what's coming up next. So I did the video longer than I wanted to, but I figured so I didn't have to make 2 more. I'll just see how long it goes, and hopefully you guys get to the end. This is really good about Yeshua in India. And if you want me to do some more stuff out of the Yoga Sutras, I will, because I'm going to have to, because what comes next after the wedding of Yeshua and Miriam, their ministry starts, and it's about Yehud, which is what they call their version of yoga. It's a scene yoga, and it's amazing. But all right, stay tuned, guys. I think I showed. Oh, the last thing I wanted to show you was how something like this, right? What just come to your mind? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, right? That's kind of what comes to my mind when I saw that yoga. This is an asana. This is a practice that you would do. You would sit there, you put your hands on your knees, and then you bring them up to your eyes. And I don't know how long you would hold it for, but as long as you're in the meditative state of mind and understanding why you're doing what you're doing, you're hearing no evil because your thumbs are in your ears and your eyes are closed and stuff, and you're speaking no evil, and you're not even smelling because you got your nose, some of your fingers at your nostrils. So that's something. That's a meditative pose, I think, which speaks to being able to control our senses, right? And look what we have here. This is how they give us the knowledge here. And see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. But it won't work like this. You have to do it all at the same time. This one can still hear and speak evil. And he could still see it and he could still speak it. And he could still see it and he could still hear it. So it's bringing in those two sides to the center, becoming like still, so you can hear that, so you can control all of those, the monkey mind, right? Is that the monkey mind? All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned.